Well, good morning. Welcome to our episode of The Word this morning. We're glad that you're joining us today. So, today we're going to take a look at a classic Bible story that has been shared with for many, many times, many people. And that story is the blind man who was born blind and the blindness that was removed and the blindness that wasn't. We're going to get into that in just a couple moments. In today's episode of The Word, we'll see you right after this. All right, well, welcome back. Today's episode, as mentioned earlier, is about this blind man. He was born blind, and how Jesus gave him his sight, not only physical sight, but spiritual sight, being able to see Jesus, not see him standing there, but see who Jesus is. More on that in just a moment. We're going to be looking at John chapter 9. Now, we're not going to take every piece of this story because the pieces are interesting, but for the sake of the point that I'm trying to make, we're going to do selective verses of this entire story. So, if you will, grab your Bible, please, and let's turn to John chapter 9, beginning at verse 1, and we'll go over each section individually. So grab your Bible. We'll be right back on the flip side. All right, John chapter 9. We're going to start right there at verse 1. Make the introductions. As he passed by, meaning Jesus, he saw a man blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with the mud and said to him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. So, blindness. Here's a man physically blind, born that way, for whatever reason. The disciples are trying to ascertain the reason for his blindness. Was it because he sinned, or was it because of his parents sinning? What they didn't understand was this man is blind because of the human nature, the context of the human nature being sinful as it is. It has nothing to do with actual sinning per se. It's a lot like the questions that Job's friends were asking, if you remember the story of Job, when they were saying, Job, you must have been really, really bad for God to punish you like this. More in that story at another time. But Jesus is saying, it's not because of sin that this man is blind. This man is going to be shown something new, and I'm going to be doing the work. So it's about the ministry. It's about the work. It's about what God has given us to do. And while he is in the world, while there is work to do, there is work for us to do in the world of conquering and taking away sin. So we're going to skip a section here. And anyway, part of this next section is the man who was made to be able to see was now taken to the council, to the Sanhedrin. And there was a lot of interrogation going on. And one of the great lines in this whole section was, well, I was blind, but now I see. Interesting that line is now in a hymn. So let's take a look now at the next section of verses. Let's start right at verse number 13. Now, man is now before the Sanhedrin. They're really after Jesus. They brought to the Pharisees the man who had formerly been blind. Now, it was a Sabbath day when Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes. That's one of the reasons why they're after Jesus. So, the Pharisees again asked him how he received his sight. And he said to them, he put mud on my eyes, and I washed, and I see. Very clear, very simple. Some of the Pharisees said, this man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath. But others said, how can a man who is a sinner do such signs? And there was a division among them. So they said to the blind man, what do you say about him, since he opened your eyes? Ah, he is a prophet, the man said. He is the one who God had anointed. He is the one that gave life. He is the teller of grace and mercy. He is the one who confronts sin and gives life. This is the one that everybody was looking for, and people were just blind to it, blind to Jesus. So, they didn't believe him. So the next section that we're going to go past is how they pulled mom and dad in on this. And mom and dad said basically, he's an adult, you ask him. And so we're going to move on to the next section. And now the final section of chapter 9 in this whole episode with Jesus and the blind man. Starting at verse number 34. They answered him, meaning the Pharisees, you were born in utter sin, and you would teach us? And they cast him out. They kicked him out of the church for being made to be able to see. Weird, right? Jesus heard that he had been cast him out, and he found him and said, do you believe in the Son of Man? He answered, who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? Jesus said to him, you have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you. And he said, Lord, I believe, and worshipped him. Jesus said, for judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind. Wow. It's interesting because, number one, this man never saw the face of Jesus. He heard his voice. He recognized his voice. Who is this man? That I may know that he is the Son of Man for me to believe in? Listen to the voice. You will recognize the voice. You've seen me. You've heard me. Faith comes by hearing, does it not? He heard and he believed and he followed. And it's interesting. Those who are blind will see, and those who see will become blind. And I'm not talking about physical blindness here at this moment. The blindness to which I'm referring is the blindness of not being able to see Jesus. Those who were sinners, those who were people alienated from God by means of being a human being, are now through Jesus and his word and his grace and his mercy are being made into believing, seeing people. Also, those who think they see, those who think they know, are really blind to the reality of Jesus. They are really blind to what God has done for them. They are blinded because they think everything is fine. They think everything that they're doing is wonderful and happy hunky-dory. Not a bloody chance. They who think they see are really blind. So Jesus is kind of giving us an understanding here simply of faith and life. Jesus is giving us this understanding of grace and mercy. How people who were blind to him now see, and those people he think they saw are blind to him. It deals with a lot of different things to which I don't have a whole lot of time to discuss here at this time. But it would be worthy of talking about, let's say, for example, hypocrisy, blind traditionalism, those kind of things. And I'm just going to drop those two bombs on you and not cover them because of time that we've got today. But bottom line simply is this. When Jesus opens your eyes to the truth of who he is, the truth of who you are, and the truth of what he came to do on your behalf, you will see Jesus. More on that in another time. By the way, we've got worship this morning coming up at 10:30. Love to see you in time and space. Also, if you're available, live stream it with us because we're going to be here right here on our YouTube channel today. So please join us. We'd love to have you today. And give us a thumbs up. Share this with your friends. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe and ring the bell to let you know that there are more videos coming up, either in the Word or Random Thoughts. And I've got another channel out there called Catechesis. Join us. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.